for coming, and thank you. The world can't wait for having this, number one, and number two, giving us a moment to give our story. She mentioned earlier that the media is not covering a lot of things like this. Is not being covered. There's no media. Another thing the media is overlooking is the 9/11 attacks and the truth behind such a thing. I don't know how many of you out there know. I would imagine most of you know exactly where you're at on the event of 9/11. You probably saw the second plane hit the tower live on TV, and that you know exactly where you were. Don't you think you should know what happened? I think it's safe to say now that most people know that Kennedy was not shot by a magical bullet, or at least at least we can admit there's some kind of conspiracy, there's some kind of confusion around the Kennedy assassination. Now, it's 40 years later. I'm not going to wait another 40 years to get the truth behind the 9/11 attacks. It goes in part with the Bush camp, with the world can't wait because many things. One is it's a catalyst to the things that he's doing right now. You couldn't have passed the Patriot Act, you couldn't have passed these torture laws without the 9/11 attacks to make the country unite and become patriots and allow our rights to be revoked. That is why we are here with you to spread our word, and that's the 9/11 Truth Movement. It's very big. We just got back from New York City on September 11th of 2006. It was a 5-year reunion, and I was completely amazed at how many police officers and firefighters and rescue workers were there at Ground Zero actually with us, wearing these shirts, questioning the official story, questioning the government's lies actually, and you'd be surprised how many of them actually had written books and have been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, and they're fed up with it. They saw it firsthand. And it's kind of almost embarrassing to the American public that we don't know yet. We have ulterior media, the internet. We can use it, but we do use it. That's how most of us found out about this. But nobody's really looking at the truth behind the 9/11 attacks, and that's why we're up here to help you guys out. Like I said earlier, we do have plenty of DVDs left. If you guys want a DVD that'll explain a lot of stuff, it's available. Brian here is going to help explain a few of the questions behind the actual events of 9/11.
All right, guys. Just real quick. Some of the basic questions. The bottom line is 9/11 happened over 5 years ago, and we still have been asking the same questions since day one. First of all, you got to look at the put options placed on American Airlines stock and Boeing stock. Put options being a bet that the stock is going to fall. Put options are at a record high. Then you've got the fact that if NORAD would have only acted, as standard protocol, states, such as scrambling jets from McGuire Air Force Base, only 70 miles from Manhattan, instead of Otis Air Force Base, 130 miles from Manhattan. If they would have followed standard operating procedures, there's no excuse for the second tower being hit. Third thing you need to look at is Building 7. You never see coverage of Building 7 anymore, but it is a fact. There were 3 buildings, that were part of the complex that actually fell. Building 7 being everything from, a headquarters for the CIA, IRS, and Cheney's emergency bunker. Regardless, Building 7 collapsed completely at free fall speed at 5:20 p.m. on September the 11th. So that's another question, that we really have to answer. And the problem is we can't shy away from this because it's getting very dangerous. I mean, I just heard, a congressman come on the air several days ago and he equated anyone who talks about 9/11 truth or asks questions regarding 9/11, he's equating them to Islamic fundamentalists and terrorists, and that is a very, very horrible line, that is drawn in the sand. So I encourage every one of you to ask these questions. It's the most American thing we can do, and we have to honor those who have fallen by knowing the truth, and let's not let this be another Kennedy dilemma. And one last thing,
Alright, well I guess I'm going to try to wrap things up with what we should do next, just a few ideas, things we can do, and I'd like to say that we're doing it now. By being here, saying that you want the Bush regime out and you want all that, we're making a difference. It might not look like it with just a few faces here, but it can be done, and our voices are being heard. All these people down here, they see us and they want to know what we're doing. They see all this happening, and it's time we make a difference. It's time that we stop accepting vague answers and questions for answers. We don't want more questions. We don't want vague answers. We want answers, real answers. Here, the media machine is out of control. We personally witnessed, when I was in New York City, I had personally had a fireman offer to let me stay in his residence if I decided to come back and speak on this again. Yet the media didn't want to touch us. They stood on the other side of the towers where they collapsed, the south side of the towers. They were over there, and that was blocked off. We were not allowed over there. the media stayed over there. I was interviewed for like 13 different nations that was not our own. Not once did any of the mainstream media touch us. My parents had no idea that we even made it like there because it wasn't on the news. I saw the images I seen of 9/11 at the 5th anniversary where we were there were the bells that the firemen were sitting here dinging. Well, there was 2,000 of us standing directly behind those, and I bet none of you seen us standing there wearing these same shirts. We were there. We were there. Where was our media? It's their duty. They serve us. We don't serve them. And that goes to all authority. We put them in. It is their job to make sure that we are safe. It is their job to make sure that our voices are heard. So let's make sure that they hear it. Let's tell them. Let's do our jobs so that they can do theirs. Stop being lazy. Encourage your friends to get up off the couch. Stop watching TV. Get out here and say something about it. Otherwise, we are going to lose the freedoms that we worked so hard to get. Did we let our forefathers and our grandparents die so that this small group of people can be here? No. I want to see this whole city marching saying, we want a difference. We want this to stop. We want the Bush regime out. Woo!
I couldn't help but think of some other questions that came to mind that the 9/11 report did not include. Not just building number 7 that they did not write anything about. 47-story building falling in 6.5 seconds wasn't important enough to investigate. On top of that, you have the hijackers, or supposed hijackers. There's close to 10 of them now are confirmed being alive. Now, I don't understand how somebody can fly a plane into a building and live, let alone the official stories line that a passport came out of the cockpit, out of a burning building, and onto the street unscathed, so they could announce to us that Mohammed Atta was the ringleader of the hijackers. But the other thing that bothers me about the hijackers is that there's actually 5 different intelligence agencies that had record of these men, and 2 of the hijackers actually had national security clearance and had traveled in and out of the United States for 2.5 years prior to those events. Why didn't the 9/11 Commission report about this or investigate it? And why didn't it look into, any of that more? You have the Able Danger Project, which was, I believe, within the CIA, and they were investigating these hijackers, following them around for several years themselves. This information was completely destroyed. We're talking about 2.5 terabytes of information. It's equivalent to 1/4 the amount of printed information in our Library of Congress. It is such an immense amount of information that we could probably tell if they had a pimple on their ass. We knew so much about them. So why is it that we know so little about these events, other than what has been repeated over and over? Usually investigations mature and grow and change as we learn more. This one hasn't gone any further. Thank you.
Woo! Don't forget to grab a DVD if you want one.